I was introduced to the Beck protocol, and we talked about that last night. And in order so that I can get some funding to continue our work, they've allowed the Eagle Foundation to become a distributor so that we can help several people to overcome these. It hits a lot of these diseases and helps people. But it's amazing that Soda Instruments got this passed by Health Canada. Why can't the Rife? Why is it that you can't get? Uh-oh, heads down. Coming to bomb us. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Soda Instruments got this passed, okay? And apparently it's okayed by Health Canada. So why can't we get this Rife system done? What do you think? So, like, what is the difference? And I know with the Beck protocol that we're going to be using, it'll be a fundraiser for the Eagle Foundation. If you make a donation to the Eagle Foundation, we'll send you a Beck protocol to help you. But I don't know. Like, you can't on this. You can't have garlic. There's certain things you can't eat. You have to. What about this system?
You can eat garlic all you want.
So tell me the difference. Tell me your opinion on this Beck protocol.
It works
Maybe
fine.
I should be donating the Rife program.
We bought 50 of these devices and we put them out with people within our group so that they had something they could travel with rather than our big device, you know. And they put this thing on their wrist, you know, and I've had people go out and drink alcohol and eat all kinds of garlic, and we have never had a problem.
So why did they say that in their protocol?
I had one Frenchman, actually, he got so angry at me, well, I can't eat my garlic. He said, you know, you think I'll buy that thing? Then anyway, he purposely took it, and he ate massive doses of garlic, and he had absolutely no problem. I think the only risk with garlic is that if you take it and you have an open wound and you rub it in and you use the device, I think you're looking for some problems. But I think when you consume it, it's not. So I disagree with Bob Beck, but that device works great. It's the best bang for the dollar today. For $175, person would be silly not to have it. And you know, Soda's got approval on that now.
Yeah, so
by the way, yeah.
Why is it that Rife can't? Why can't we get yours approved?
Well, when we tried to go for an approval process in the United States, it was $2.2 million. When we looked at it to get it done in Canada, they don't have a classification for it. So they're telling us that I can't sell it, but they don't have a class. Yet they say it is a medical device, but they have no class for it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a catch thing. So I'm hoping that Health Canada will make a classification by using us as a source for setting the standard for the new Class 5 that has to come in. It'd be silly if they didn't use it, because you know what's going to happen? Some country, Taiwan or a little place, colony like Singapore, are going to come out, and with the internet, everybody's going to go down en masse for cures, or over to Mexico where they're going to be using this damn stuff, and Canada's going to look foolish, and the United States is going to look foolish.
Have you told that to our government?
Well, I think government will approve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'm an optimist. Sure.
Two brief questions. Number one, is there a general, for somebody who's already in good health generally, is there a preventative thing that they could come in, say once a week to use it to keep up their good health? And the second question, I find in a lot of areas there's a very definitive line between physiological cures and neurological. And I happen to have, due to an accident 8 years ago, I happen to have grand mal. And is there a benefit that people with neurological disease, diseases such as that, or any neurological disease, can benefit from that technology as compared to somebody that has physiological problems, where that seems to be the area that most cures seem to be coming out from?
Okay. Some pretty good questions there. We're talking about an area, number one, I haven't done any research, but I'm in contact with researchers, for example, that are working on those levels. Medical, no, let's see, not a medical doctor, and Julian Metter, I can't remember what he is, in the United States anyways, he's a psychologist. And he works with all kinds of different situations using the device, and he finds that people who have, for example, a lot of emotional problems settle down. We know that people with addictions settle down when they're around it. We know that hyperactive children settle down. ADD seems to be less, but nothing conclusive on it because nobody's really done the studies. But it's suggestive that there's a massive big improvement happening. You know, we've had children come in, for example, that's really hyperactive, and they'll be running around in the group sessions, And usually within 30, 40 minutes, they're sitting down beside their folks and settled right down with their crayons and stuff like that. And the folks are going, I've never seen her do that before, you know. And we've seen that happen more often than not, yeah. So I do believe that it will have its advantages. We've had an older lady in her 70s who really couldn't remember her name. She'd be out in the garden looking down, wondering why she's got the shovel in her hands. And after 90 days, just sitting at the general group sessions, she got her driver's license again and was driving. Yeah. So there's something happening, there's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Hey, Don.
Good
Is this
morning.
working? Morning. I want to say what you're doing is excellent. Hey? We give him a hand.
Thank you.
We need more people with courage. If I want, I'll make a comment about, with respect to government and our before I ask my two questions, and with respect to getting things passed and done, we've got to remember when we do that, we're asking for permission. And we don't need anyone's permission to find a way to make yourself or your family healthy or happy. So we have to be careful not to be caught in that trap, I think.
Well, it's not true. See, it's not just Canada, but it's most Western countries. If, for example, you refuse a blood transfusion on your child, if you refuse chemo or radiation when a doctor has recommended, social services can be empowered to take your child away from you. I know that because I've had friends where it's happened, and that floors me. You know, absolutely floors me that they have, that government has that kind of power.
We've allowed them to have that, though.
That's where permission has come in. We've permitted it.
Right.
We haven't had people who were strong enough to get up there and fight for what's right. Because you know what, when you get in there, you don't have 2 or 3 people picking on you. You have the whole damn flock. And you know why the flock picks on you? Because if they don't, they'll lose their jobs. We have so much bureaucracy in the world today. Like, why is Health Canada telling us this has to be classified as a medical device? They're disempowering the medical doctors that they've trained, saying you're incompetent in making that decision. They challenge us to prove that it works. Yet you can use chemo and radiation, which will kill you. It's double standards. So I have to work within the rules. I didn't set it, but the machine is so big, if every one of us tried to stop it right now, we would not stop it. Maybe by the time we're dead, it would happen. So what we have to do is work within the system. We have to think differently. You know what? If our medical system isn't working, set one up that will work. Who's to say we have to have the Canadian Medical Association? Maybe it'll be called the new Millennium Medical Association, and we will form a board of directors, all medical doctors. Who's to say a medical doctor on one side is not as smart as the other? If it goes to court, who's to say you're a greater expert than this one? They put you on equal rights. If a new association would start up, our doctors would abandon ship en masse on this side to go to the new way because they want to. They see their way is not working. But until we do this, it won't happen. Now, why don't the doctors do it themselves? Hey, they go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. They come home at 10 o'clock at night. They work most weekends. They don't have time to set up an association. But maybe somebody can get it going. You know, somewhere down the line, things are going to change. We have to think differently within the envelope. But we're the angels on the outside, and we have this ability to come up with new concepts and new ways of dealing with problems. So working with the existing system can be done, but work smarter, work more diligently, work honestly. What we do, we don't have to lie about it. Tell your truth. We can beat them. And that's where groups like this has the empowerment.
Better, we need them to join us.
They will. We have to give them something to come to. You know, it will come.
Okay,
My energy is focused on what I'm doing, so somebody else will pick up the gavel on this if it's meant. And if it's not meant to be, fine. Government's at risk, you know. Government's at risk in the sense that if they prohibit this thing, it'll go underground and they won't hear dick all about it. The only people who know about it is us, because we won't let them in. And when a pandemic hits, bye, baby. They'll want to join. That's part of my redneck stuff. I'm sorry. I gave that up 10 years ago.
Well, that's good. That answers the question.
Okay.
The first question I have is with respect to when people come in, how do you find that the degree of success is related to their desire to heal? Is it if
Stop on that one. Let me answer that one. When people come in, attitude can play a major role in the terms of the success that they demonstrate over a period of time. But whether they want it or not, they will have the benefit of it at that time. It doesn't matter if they're smokers and drinkers, they will still have that immediate benefit. But as they smoke and drink, they've just basically extended their time. The people that have the success, who are not smoking, not drinking, or are doing their diets and all that sort of good stuff and get their head straight and get their heart straight and are willing to work at it, they do really well. The people who do nothing, it just extends it. So instead of them dying here, they die out there, but they still die. You know, just as sure as we were born, we're going to die, every one of us. So we can't control that. But there's a thing that happens with cancer after it beats you up for a while that affects the psyche in the back. This is my observations. You know, this is the advantage of knowing nothing and just being able to watch what rabbits do, right? Well, rabbits decide they want to die. And I've seen people die because they didn't want a divorce because it was too scandalous for the kids. So mom will choose to die. Or the husband will choose to die because he can't deal with the problem. And what I mean, this is where we have to deal with, you know, more serious illnesses like cancer. I know I'm a little bit off topic here, but it's part of your question that when you go in and you have breast cancer or you have prostate cancer or whatever it is, unless you get to the real guts of what's happening, there's an awful lot of emotional stuff that has to be dealt with, and perhaps we should have, you know, counselors and psychologists that are involved in the process of the healing, because a lot of people live on this stuff, they contain it in here and they won't release it because they think it's wrong. So what they have to be trained is that it's okay to let it out, and the method that which they can let it out that's not going to cause problems. Family's got to be on side too, but the whole healing process has got to change. Major illness.
My second question is, are you familiar with electrocrystal therapy?
No, but it sounds good.
Harry Oldfield's.
You know, really. Yeah.
Okay, well, it comes from Harry Oldfield's technology.
Okay, I know that.
And
yeah.
It works on sound waves and frequency as well. And what my question is that they approach the template of the body from the etheric layers of the energy that kind of energy that that the body is a template from the blueprint of the energy surrounding the body. And so what they do is they work on the energy field outside of the body, which heals the disturbance, and then the body heals.
It sounds like a statement rather than a question, but I can help you out on it.
Well, let me just ask the question then.
Okay.
With the Rife Technology, has there been any consideration made with respect to that, the etheric layers, or the basis that it's used if it is attacked from the physicality?
There's some suggestions that when you use the plasma technology, it will help you balance the body energies out. How do we know that? We work with the bioresonance equipment. And the bioresonance equipment is sensitive enough that when we hook you up around the head and around the feet and around the hands, and we go from this point to this point, and from this point to that one, and do all the cross, there's a balance point in the body. And you can tell where the body's off. It'll actually show you the fields and the field strength. And then you feed signal through it in order to build it back up, or pull energy away from it to pull it down so it will go into balance. We do that all the time now. So the body is very important in terms of its balance, and if this crystal thing is doing something similar, it's a very important factor in terms of the healing, because we find that people who are sick have a weak point in their bodies that you can actually identify scientifically. We're not talking about witchcraft or dowsing or anything like that. We're talking about a machine that will repeat time after time on a gauge and show you. This is very scientific, the stuff that we do. This is not hocus pocus or anything like that. Some of that hocus stuff, by the way, I do believe in it now, because I've had people come up to me that were so powerful, I couldn't believe it. Had an old guy come up to me and he said, "God, you got a sore toe?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he reaches down with his finger, he gets about that far above my toe, and I hear this crack and this pain like that, and it was gone. I tell you, I've met some really neat people. But in terms of my work, everything has got to come up to a spot, okay? Because I have to show our professionals, because that's what they look for, I have to work in those terms. But this part about the energy can be shown. Yeah, absolutely, and it's really important.
I just had a question with relation to, you made a comment about aluminum, that being the one material that could prevent the people from getting a positive reaction from the field.
Yes.
Why aluminum? And does it have to be solid aluminum, or could it be particles of dust? Because I understand, or I've heard, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that some of the chemtrails that we see in the sky are actually talcum fine aluminum particles that are being spread throughout our atmosphere.
I wish I could answer that, Deb. I know that we use aluminum foil, aluminum sheets, to shield the ray, and we use it to reflect the ray. We can take that ray and just take it and put a focus point on it. We have a new device out, and on the handout, if you take a look at it, it's got 2 tubes on it. Well, we can put you into the convergence point on that device, and it's awesome. The signal's awesome on it. When I mean, it's way beyond what you need. This ordinary device here is 10 times more than what the human body really needs, and the only reason we're making them this big and powerful is everybody else is out there, and they say that more horsepower is better, but these things are going to be much, much smaller and less powerful as time goes on, because we're knowing how to use it better. And as you know how to use something better, you don't need as much of it. Some of you are familiar with that stuff already, right? So.
But would the aluminum particles affect it as well? Like if there was particles, fine talcum powder around us, would that prohibit it from possibly reaching? Is that a possibility, or?
Yeah, it could.
Okay.
It's a guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I just was curious.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know the answer to that, Deb. I just know that that's where the one restriction is with it, yeah.
Okay,
or
thank
benefit.
you.
Yeah.
That aluminum brought up another question. Would aluminum be able to protect us from nuclear radiation?
I don't know.
That was my concern, was aluminum, and Debbie just covered that. But in thinking up a new association, I thought of the new Healtharian Association, and so we could consider that.
Well, thank you.
You know,
That's how things start. Somebody else puts something into it, and that's